Hope you're all still awake. Late Night Mega here, and it's time to get stoned. I mean, we're going to Stone Man now. Lives. I could have sworn in the original version, when we exited a stage, or completed a stage, our lives would return to the normal 2 extra lives, provided we were down on lives and didn't have, you know, extras. But I guess that's not the case in this version. Oh, that guy. I like how the special weapons are useful against the enemies as well. I'll show off what the Spark Attack does a little bit when I'm not in mortal danger. Spark Shock. So it scatters upon impact, and it can power old machines. So if Spark Shock hits a wall, it bounces, kind of like Shotgun Ice from Mega Man X. And I'll go ahead and get this score point wall, because it's not difficult to get. Oh, those guys are back. Oh, these guys are back. It's a culmination of things I don't really want to deal with. I'm going here because I find Stone Man's weapon fairly useful for getting many of the power-ups. You can see we didn't miss out on too much by taking the lower path instead of the... That's one of the reasons I went after the spear first. It is also possible to go after Rush Coil first and get some of these things, but I like doing it with the spear instead. Just because we don't typically have this ability. It's kind of like the super arrow. Oh, this section. Whoa, where did you come from? You're not supposed to be doing that. Okay, maybe this section isn't that bad? Maybe it's a lot shorter than I remember. I remember a kind of a lengthy section in this stage where you cross many of those platforms and have those little flying guys coming after you. It's really useful to have a barrier weapon there. Another thing about this game is that all of the normal enemies are like super weak or fairly weak to multiple different weapons, and some of them will just affect them like your normal buster. So it's well, those things are back. But it's useful to try out different special weapons on different enemies to see what's effective and what's not as effective. Alright, let's try this again. Like the Yamato Sphere is useful against these guys. Come on, demonstration please. It only takes 3 spears to beat him, but it might take, you know, 8 Spark Shocks, and that's not very efficient. So it's just a little bit of, you know, testing things out, and I kind of like that design, but it's also kind of difficult to keep track of what all is weak to what. So I remember a few of the things, but most of it. I do like the use of the Spark Shock here to take out those aerial guys, but overall I find it difficult to find practical uses. One thing I do like is that we can take out those little hopper enemies before they jump into the air. We don't have to wait for them to be in the air like we did in Mega Man 3. And I want to keep the spear full because it is useful. That wasn't useful. See, I'm trying to be cool with it, and it doesn't always work out. Jet, I'll come back here. And I'm just going to skip those power-ups because we don't really need them. I don't think we have Stone Man's weakness either. That's okay. Yes, those grindy, spiky things from Napalm Man's stage are back. We can also ride the top of them. Oh, this is dangerous. Yeah, that's a dangerous area. Let's go ahead and fill up Spark Shock, but I can also use the shoulder buttons to swap weapons as well. And as you see, many M-tanks in order to get the... Well, we're already at the boss. In order to get the M-tank. And Stoneman, he is one of the easier guys in this game, touches you, which that was not a ton of damage. But I love the rock throwing. He has two different ways that he can throw those stones. His Power Stone effect. So when he's in this mode, it kind of reminds me of Drill Man a little bit. Yep, that was the second way. He can just keep him as a barrier around him. Or he can launch him like that. Ah, that's not where I want to be standing. And he has a little avalanche attack there. So yeah, several different attacks. I love the upgrades that this guy got. And we got him on the first try. See, much easier than Sparkman.